Elena stood in front of the tall wooden doors, her heart beating so fast she could hear it in her ears. She'd been to fancy offices before, but never like this. The building screamed money with its marble floors and crystal chandeliers hanging from the ceiling. Everything here felt cold and unwelcoming. She pushed open the door and walked into the office. Behind a massive desk sat Vincent Romano, a man who looked like he owned half the state. And maybe he did. His suit probably cost more than her truck. His gray hair was slicked back perfectly, and when he looked at her, it felt like he was looking through her, not at her. "Miss Martinez," he said, gesturing to the chair across from him. His voice was smooth, but there was something underneath it that made her skin crawl. "Please, sit down." Elena sat, her hands gripping her purse so tight her knuckles turned white. On the desk between them was a stack of papers. She didn't need to read them to know what they were. Her father's gambling debts. Every bad decision he'd made over the past 3 years, all written down in black and white. $470,000. That's what her family owed this man. Vincent leaned back in his leather chair, studying her like she was something he was thinking about buying. "Your father has put you in quite a difficult position," he said calmly. "I've been very patient, very understanding. But my patience has limits." Elena's throat felt tight. "We're working on it. My dad, he's trying to find work, and I've been picking up extra shifts at the hospital. We just need more time." Vincent smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Time. Miss Martinez, at this rate, you'll be paying off this debt for the next 20 years. Your family will lose the ranch. Your mother will lose the home she grew up in. And with her current health situation..." He let the words hang in the air like a threat. Elena felt tears burning behind her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. "Not in front of this man. However," Vincent continued, sliding a different set of papers across the desk, "I'm prepared to offer you a solution. A very generous solution." She looked down at the documents. The words marriage contract were printed at the top in bold letters. Her stomach dropped. "You can't be serious," she whispered. "I'm always serious about business, Miss Martinez, and this is business." Vincent stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the city below. "I'm 52 years old. I've built an empire. I have everything a man could want except for one thing. A wife, someone presentable, someone young and beautiful to accompany me to social events." Elena felt sick. "You want to buy me?" "I want to help your family," he corrected, turning back to face her. "You marry me and your father's debts disappear completely. Every single dollar. Your mother can continue her cancer treatments at the best hospitals. Your father can keep his ranch. All of your family's problems go away with one signature." "I don't even know you," Elena said, her voice shaking. "You'll get to know me," Vincent replied smoothly. "We'll have a perfectly civil arrangement. I'm not asking for love, Miss Martinez. I'm offering a business transaction that benefits both of us. You get financial security. Your family gets to keep everything they have, and I get a wife who understands her role." Elena stared at the papers in front of her. This couldn't be real. This kind of thing didn't happen in the 21st century. People didn't force women into marriages anymore. But here she was, sitting in this cold office, being told to choose between marrying a stranger and watching her family lose everything. "What if I say no?" she asked quietly. Vincent returned to his seat, folding his hands on the desk. "Then I'll have no choice but to take legal action. Your family's ranch will be seized. Your father will likely face criminal charges for fraud. Your mother's medical care will stop because you won't be able to afford it. Is that what you want?" "That's not fair," Elena said, her voice breaking. "Life rarely is, Miss Martinez." Vincent pushed the papers closer to her. "I'm giving you 48 hours to think about it. That's more than fair. Talk to your family. Consider your options. But know this, there are no other options. This is the only way out." Elena stood up on shaky legs. She couldn't breathe properly in this office. The air felt too thick, too heavy. "I need to go." "Of course," Vincent said, standing as well. "Take your time. But remember, the clock is ticking. 48 hours, Miss Martinez. After that, I move forward with seizing your family's assets." Elena grabbed her purse and walked toward the door, her vision blurring with unshed tears. "Oh, and Miss Martinez?" Vincent called out just as she reached the door. She turned back. "Don't try to run. Don't try to hide the assets. I have lawyers who are very, very good at finding things. You'll only make this harder on your family." She didn't respond. She couldn't. She just turned and walked out, letting the heavy door close behind her. The drive home was a blur. Elena didn't remember getting in her truck or starting the engine. She just drove, her hands gripping the steering wheel, her mind racing in 1,000 different directions. How had it come to this? Her father had always liked gambling, but it used to be small stuff. $20 here, 50 there. When had it turned into this nightmare? When had he borrowed money from someone like Vincent Romano? She thought about her mother, lying in a hospital bed just last month, looking so small and fragile. The cancer had taken so much from her already. How could Elena tell her that they might lose the ranch? The place where her mother was born, where she'd raised Elena, where every memory of their family lived, and her father. God, her father. He'd been so broken lately, so full of guilt. He barely spoke anymore, just sat in his chair staring at nothing. If they lost the ranch because of his gambling, it would destroy him completely. But marry Vincent Romano? A man old enough to be her father? A man who looked at her like she was property to be acquired? The thought made her physically ill. Elena's truck started making a weird noise about 30 miles outside of town. Steam began rising from under the hood. Of course this would happen now. She pulled into the parking lot of a small roadside diner, the kind of place that looked like it had been there since the 1950s. The truck died as soon as she turned off the engine. Elena put her head on the steering wheel and finally let the tears come. She cried for her family. She cried for her mother's pain. She cried for her father's mistakes. And she cried for herself, for the impossible choice that had just been laid at her feet. After a while, the tears stopped. She was empty, hollowed out. Elena wiped her face and went inside the diner. She needed coffee. She needed to sit somewhere that wasn't that awful office or her broken-down truck. The diner was nearly empty. An old man sat at the counter reading a newspaper. A tired-looking waitress refilled his coffee. And in the corner booth, a man in a cowboy hat sat with his back to the door. Elena slid into a booth near the window and ordered coffee from the waitress. She wrapped her hands around the warm cup when it arrived, staring out at the darkening sky. 48 hours, 2 days to decide the rest of her life. She didn't notice the man in the cowboy hat watching her. Didn't see him stand up and walk over. Didn't realize he was there until he slid into the booth across from her without asking. Elena looked up, startled. The man was probably in his mid-30s with sun-darkened skin and eyes that were the color of whiskey. His hat was worn, his jeans were faded, and his boots had seen better days. But there was something solid about him, something real. "Bad day?" he asked simply. Elena almost laughed. "You have no idea." The cowboy nodded like he understood. Sometimes it helps to talk to a stranger. Someone who doesn't know you, doesn't know your story. Someone who can just listen. Maybe it was exhaustion. Maybe it was desperation. Maybe it was because this stranger's eyes held kindness instead of judgment. But Elena found herself talking. She told him everything. About her father's gambling. About Vincent Romano and his awful offer. About the marriage contract sitting in that cold office. About having 48 hours to choose between her freedom and her family's survival. The cowboy listened without interrupting, his expression growing darker as she spoke. When she finally finished, he was quiet for a long moment. "This Vincent Romano," he said finally, his voice low and dangerous. "I know him." Elena's heart skipped. "You do?" "Yeah, I know exactly the kind of man he is." The cowboy leaned forward, his eyes intense. "And I know men like him only win when good people give up. When they let fear make their decisions for them. But what choice do I have?" Elena asked, feeling hopeless again. "If I don't sign, my family loses everything." The cowboy reached into his pocket and pulled out a napkin. He borrowed a pen from the waitress and wrote something down, then slid it across the table. "My name's Cole. Cole Brennan. That's my number. If you need help, if you need anything, you call me." Elena stared at the napkin. "I don't understand." "You don't even know me." Cole stood up, put some money on the table for both their coffees, and adjusted his hat. "No, I don't. But I know what it's like to feel trapped. And I know that sometimes people need someone to stand with them." He walked toward the door, then stopped and turned back. "Don't sign those papers, Elena, not yet. Give me a chance to help. What's the worst that could happen?" Then he was gone, the diner door swinging shut behind him, leaving Elena alone with a napkin, a phone number, and the first tiny spark of hope she'd felt in hours. Elena sat in that diner booth for another hour after Cole left. staring at the napkin with his phone number written on it. Part of her thought she was crazy for even considering calling some stranger she'd just met. But another part of her, the part that was desperate and tired and scared, wanted to believe that maybe, just maybe, someone actually wanted to help. By the time she got her truck towed to a mechanic and caught a ride home, it was nearly midnight. The house was dark except for one light in the living room. Her father was still up, sitting in his usual chair, a glass of whiskey in his hand. "Dad?" Elena said softly, closing the door behind her. He looked up, and the guilt in his eyes almost broke her heart. "You went to see him, didn't you?" "Romano." Elena nodded, too tired to be angry anymore. "Yeah, I did." Her father's hand shook as he set down his glass. "Elena, I'm so sorry. God, I'm so sorry. I never meant for it to get this bad. I kept thinking I could win it back, that one good hand would fix everything, but it just kept getting worse and worse." "I know, Dad." Elena sat down on the couch across from him. She wanted to yell, to scream about how he'd ruined everything, but what good would it do now? They were already drowning. Anger wouldn't save them, what did he say? Her father asked, though his expression showed he already knew the answer wouldn't be good. Elena took a deep breath. "He gave me 48 hours to decide whether to marry him. If I do, the debt disappears. If I don't, he takes the ranch and presses criminal charges against you." Her father's face went pale. No, Elena, you can't. I won't let you sacrifice yourself because of my mistakes." "Then what's the solution, Dad? Tell me." "Because I've been thinking about it all day and I can't see any other way out." They sat in silence, both of them knowing there was no good answer. Finally, her father spoke again, his voice barely a whisper. "Maybe I should just turn myself in. Face the charges. At least you and your mother would be free of this." "And who would take care of Mom?" Elena asked gently. "She needs both of us. The treatments are working, but she's not strong enough yet. If you go to prison, if we lose the ranch and can't afford her medication, what happens then?" Her father put his head in his hands. "I've destroyed everything." Elena wanted to comfort him, but she was too empty. She stood up. "I'm going to bed. We'll figure something out tomorrow." But she didn't sleep. She lay in her old bedroom, staring at the ceiling, listening to the familiar sounds of the house settling around her. This was her home. These walls held memories of birthday parties and Christmas mornings, of her mother teaching her to bake in the kitchen, of her father teaching her to ride horses in the barn out back. How could she let Vincent Romano take this away from them? But how could she marry him? Around 3 in the morning, Elena pulled out her phone and looked at the napkin with Cole's number on it. Her finger hovered over the call button, but she couldn't bring herself to press it. What could a cowboy from a diner possibly do against a man like Vincent Romano? The next day dragged by like torture. Elena called in sick to work. She couldn't face being around people, having to pretend everything was fine. Her mother called from her sister's house where she was staying during her recovery, and Elena had to lie and say everything was okay. She couldn't tell her mother the truth. Not yet. By evening, Elena found herself in the barn sitting on a hay bale watching the sunset through the open doors. The horses nickered softly in their stalls. This barn had been here for over 70 years. Her grandfather had built it with his own hands, and now because of gambling debts it might all be gone. Her phone buzzed. An unknown number. Elena's hands shook as she answered. "Elena." It was Cole's voice. "Don't hang up. I know you probably think I'm crazy, and maybe I am, but I've been thinking about your situation all day." "How did you get my number?" Elena asked. "You're not hard to find in a small town. I asked around at the mechanic shop where they towed your truck. Look, I know this sounds insane, but I need you to trust me."
"Can you meet me tomorrow morning?"
"There's something I need to show you." Elena should have said no, should have hung up and blocked the number. But desperation makes people do strange things. "Where?" "The old rodeo grounds on Highway 47. Can you be there at 8? "I guess," Elena said slowly. "But I don't understand what you think you can do." "Just trust me," Cole said. "Please. You've got nothing to lose by hearing me out." The next morning, Elena drove her rental car to the rodeo grounds, half expecting Cole not to show up. But his truck was already there, parked near the empty stands. He was standing by the fence watching something in the arena. "You came," he said when he saw her, a small smile on his face. "I'm here, but I still don't know why." Cole gestured toward the arena where a massive black bull was pacing back and forth. "Because I'm going to get you that money, all of it." "Every dollar your family owes?" Elena stared at him. How? Are you secretly a millionaire? No, Cole said, his expression serious. But I used to be someone in the rodeo world. Bull riding. I was good. Really good. Won nearly $1 million over 10 years. Used to be? Elena asked. Cole's jaw tightened. Yeah, 5 years ago I made a bad business investment. Put most of my winnings into a property development deal. Want to guess who convinced me it was a sure thing? Elena's stomach dropped. Vincent Romano, exactly. He promised huge returns, got me to invest everything I had, and then the whole thing collapsed. Turned out the development was illegal, built on protected wetlands. Romano got out clean because he'd hidden his involvement. I lost almost everything. Had to start over from scratch. I'm sorry, Elena said. But I still don't see how that helps me. Cole turned to face her fully. The Frontier Days rodeo circuit starts in 5 days. It's a series of competitions over 2 weeks leading up to the championship. The total prize money, if someone wins the top spots in multiple events, can reach $500,000. Maybe more. Elena shook her head. Cole, that's not realistic. You said you haven't competed in years. How can you possibly win that much money? Because I have to, Cole said simply. Because a man like Vincent Romano has been getting away with ruining people's lives for too long. He did it to me. He's doing it to you, and I'm not going to let him win this time. This is crazy, Elena said, but her heart was racing. Could it actually work? Even if you could win, which is a huge if, what about the entry fees? The travel? You'd need money just to compete. I have enough saved up for that, Cole said. It'll wipe me out, but I can cover the entries and expenses. The question is, are you willing to take a chance on me? Elena looked at this man who was offering to risk everything for a stranger. Why would you do this? You don't owe me anything. Cole was quiet for a moment, looking out at the empty rodeo grounds. When Romano destroyed my investment, I almost gave up on everything. I was angry, bitter, broke. But my dad told me something before he died. He said that real strength isn't about how hard you can hit. It's about standing up for people who can't stand up for themselves, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. He turned back to Elena. You reminded me of that. Sitting in that diner, trying to be strong while your world was falling apart. You deserve someone in your corner, and maybe this is how I finally make Romano pay for what he's done. Elena felt tears welling up again, but this time they weren't tears of despair. What if you get hurt? Bull riding is dangerous. People die doing that. People die doing nothing too, Cole said with a slight smile. At least this way, I'm fighting for something that matters. I can't ask you to do this, Elena whispered. You're not asking. I'm offering. Cole held out his hand. So what do you say? Are you willing to bet on a washed-up cowboy with something to prove? Elena looked at his hand, calloused and strong from years of hard work. She thought about Vincent Romano's smooth, cold fingers. She thought about that marriage contract sitting in his office. And she thought about the tiny spark of hope that had flickered to life in that diner. She took Cole's hand. Okay, let's do it. Cole's smile widened. Good. Now I'm going to need your help. If I'm going to get back into competition shape in 5 days, I'm going to need someone to help me train, take care of the horses, and to keep me from doing anything too stupid. I work at the hospital, Elena said. But I can take some time off. Tell them it's a family emergency. It is a family emergency, Cole pointed out. They spent the rest of the morning planning. Cole showed her his training schedule, explained which events he'd enter, and laid out exactly how much money he'd need to win at each level to reach their goal. It seemed impossible, but Elena found herself believing in him. As they were leaving the rodeo grounds, Elena's phone rang. Vincent Romano's name appeared on the screen. Her blood ran cold. Answer it, Cole said quietly. Let him think everything's going according to his plan, Elena answered. Hello? Miss Martinez. Vincent's smooth voice came through the speaker. I trust you've had time to think about my offer? Your 48 hours are almost up. Elena glanced at Cole, who nodded encouragingly. I need more time. Time is a luxury you don't have, Vincent said coldly. I'll expect you in my office tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. to sign the papers. If you're not there, I'll begin legal proceedings immediately. I'll be there, Elena said, her voice steadier than she felt. The morning sun felt too bright as Elena pulled up to Vincent Romano's office building. Her parents sat beside her in the car, both looking like they'd aged 10 years overnight. Her mother had insisted on coming back from her sister's place when Elena finally told them about the meeting. Now she sat in the passenger seat, her thin hand clutching a tissue, looking small and fragile in her oversized coat. "We don't have to do this," her father said for the 100th time, his voice rough. "There has to be another way." Elena looked at him in the rearview mirror. His eyes were red from not sleeping, his hands shaking slightly. "Dad, we've been over this. If we don't show up, he starts taking everything today. At least this buys us some time." She didn't tell them about Cole. Didn't mention the plan to somehow win $500,000 in rodeo competitions. It sounded too much like a fantasy, and her parents had been hurt enough by dreams that didn't come true. If Cole's plan failed, she'd marry Vincent and her parents would never know there'd been another option. If it succeeded, well, then it would be a miracle worth celebrating. They walked into the building together, their footsteps echoing on the marble floor. The elevator ride up to the top floor felt like going to an execution. Elena's mother held her hand tightly, and Elena could feel her trembling. Vincent's secretary greeted them with a fake smile and ushered them into the large office. Vincent stood by the window, looking out at the city like he owned every building in sight. Maybe he did. "The Martinez family," he said, turning around with that cold smile of his. "Right on time. I appreciate punctuality." Elena's father stepped forward, his voice stronger than it had been all morning. "Look, Romano, there has to be some other arrangement we can make. Give us more time to pay you back. I'll work 3 jobs if I have to." Vincent laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Richard, you had 3 years to pay me back. You made promises every month. And every month you went to the casino instead of honoring your debts. Why would I believe anything you say now?" "Because I'm serious this time," her father insisted. "I'm done gambling. I swear it." "The oath of every gambling addict," Vincent said dismissively. He walked to his desk and tapped the stack of papers sitting there. "No, we're past the point of payment plans and promises. Your daughter made the wise choice to come here today. Let's not waste any more time." Elena felt sick as she looked at the marriage contract. Beside it was another document, a prenuptial agreement that basically said she'd get nothing if they divorced. She'd be his wife in name only, a decoration for his arm, a trophy to show off at business dinners. Her mother squeezed her hand. "Baby, you don't have to do this. We'll find another way." But there was no conviction in her mother's voice. They all knew there was no other way. Not really. This was it. Vincent picked up an expensive pen and held it out to Elena. "Shall we?" Elena's hand reached for the pen. It felt like she was moving through water, everything slow and heavy. Her fingers wrapped around the cool metal. She pulled the papers closer to her. This was really happening. In a few seconds, she'd sign her life away to a man she barely knew, a man who made her skin crawl. But her family would be safe. Her mother could continue her treatments. They'd keep the ranch. That had to count for something, right? The pen touched the paper. Elena's hand started to shake. She couldn't do it. Even knowing what it would cost, even knowing her family would lose everything, she couldn't make herself sign her name. "Is there a problem?" Vincent asked, his voice sharp with impatience. "I just need a minute," Elena whispered. "You've had plenty of minutes," Vincent said. He walked around the desk and reached for Elena's wrist, his grip tight and commanding. "Stop being dramatic and sign the paper." Elena's father jumped up from his chair. "Don't touch her!" "I'll touch what belongs to me," Vincent snapped back. "And the moment she signs this contract, she does belong to me." That's when Elena's phone buzzed in her purse. A text message. Her hands shook as she pulled out her phone, Vincent still gripping her wrist. The message was from Cole. "Don't do it. I'm outside." Something in Elena's chest loosened. She wasn't alone. Someone was fighting for her. "I can't," she said suddenly, pulling her wrist away from Vincent. "I can't sign this." Vincent's face turned red. "Excuse me?" "I said I can't sign it." Elena stood up, her voice getting stronger. "This is wrong. You know it's wrong. You're taking advantage of my family's situation." "Your family's situation?" Vincent's voice rose. "Your father created this situation by gambling away money he didn't have. Money he borrowed from me with the promise of repayment. I'm not the villain here, Miss Martinez. I'm the man offering you a way out. By forcing me to marry you, that's not a way out, that's blackmail," Elena shot back. Vincent's eyes went cold. "Fine, have it your way. Security will escort you out, and my lawyers will start the paperwork to seize your assets within the hour. Your mother's next treatment is scheduled for Tuesday, correct? I wonder how she'll manage when her insurance is canceled." Elena's mother made a small sound of distress. Her father looked like he might hit Vincent, his fists clenched at his sides. Just then, the office doors burst open with a crash. Vincent's secretary called out from behind. "Sir, I tried to stop him, but he just pushed past me." Cole Brennan walked into the office like he owned the place, his boots loud on the expensive floor, his hat slightly tilted, his eyes blazing with determination. He didn't look like a man who could be intimidated by money or power. "Who the hell are you?" Vincent demanded. Cole didn't answer him. Instead, he walked straight to the desk, grabbed the marriage contract, and tore it in half. Then in half again, and again. The pieces fell to the floor like confetti. "What do you think you're doing?" Vincent's voice was deadly quiet now, more dangerous than when he'd been shouting. "Stopping you from ruining another person's life," Cole said calmly. He turned to Elena. "You okay?" Elena nodded, unable to find words. She couldn't believe he was actually here, that he'd just destroyed the contract like it was nothing. Vincent pressed a button on his desk. "Security, get to my office now." He looked at Cole with pure hatred. "I don't know who you are, but you just made the biggest mistake of your life. That was a legal contract." "That wasn't a contract, that was extortion," Cole said. "And before your security gets here, you should know something. Elena's not signing anything because she's already spoken for." Elena's heart stopped. What was he doing? Cole looked at her, and something in his eyes told her to trust him. He turned back to Vincent. "Elena's with me, and she's mine, forever." The room went silent. Elena's parents stared at Cole in shock. Vincent's face had gone from red to almost purple. "You're telling me," Vincent said slowly, "that you're in a relationship with Miss Martinez?" "That's exactly what I'm telling you," Cole said. His voice was steady, confident. "So whatever deal you thought you had, it's off the table." Vincent laughed, a harsh sound. "And I suppose you can pay the Martinez family's debts? $470,000? You look like you can barely afford new boots." Cole didn't flinch. "Give me 2 weeks. I'll get you your money, every dollar. And then you leave this family alone forever." 2 weeks? Vincent looked at Cole like he was insane. "You're telling me you can raise almost $500,000 in 2 weeks?" "That's exactly what I'm saying." "This is ridiculous," Vincent said, but Elena could see uncertainty in his eyes now. "Even if you somehow managed it, which you won't, why would I agree to this? I could take the ranch today." "Because if you don't give me the 2 weeks, I'll go to every newspaper, every news station, and I'll tell them exactly what you were trying to do here," Cole said. "I'll tell them how you tried to force a young woman into marriage to settle her father's debts, how you preyed on a family with a sick mother. I wonder how that'll look for your business reputation." Vincent's jaw clenched. "That's slander. It's the truth. And I've got witnesses." Cole gestured to Elena's parents. "I bet they'd be happy to testify." The security guards finally arrived, 2 large men in suits. Vincent held up a hand, stopping them at the door. He stared at Cole for a long moment, and Elena could see his mind working, calculating. "Fine," Vincent said finally. 2 weeks. But when you fail, and you will fail, I'm taking everything. The ranch, the assets, all of it. And Miss Martinez won't have the option of marrying me anymore. That offer dies today." "Deal," Cole said without hesitation. "And I want it in writing," Vincent continued. "A contract stating that if you don't deliver $470,000 to me in exactly 14 days, the Martinez family forfeits all claims to their property immediately. No court proceedings, no delays." Elena's father started to protest, but Cole spoke first. "Draw up the contract." "I'll sign it." Vincent smiled, but it wasn't friendly. "You're either the bravest man I've ever met or the dumbest. I'm betting on the latter." He looked at Elena. "I hope he's worth it, Miss Martinez. Because when he fails, you're going to regret this moment for the rest of your life." Cole took Elena's hand, his grip warm and strong. "Let's go." They walked out of the office together, Elena's parents following in stunned silence. No one spoke until they reached the parking lot. Then Elena's father grabbed Cole's shoulder. "Who are you?" he demanded. "And what the hell just happened in there?" Cole looked at Elena, then at her parents. The tension in Vincent Romano's office had been electric. But now, standing in the parking lot with Elena's family, Cole felt the weight of what he'd just done settling on his shoulders. He'd just promised to deliver almost $500,000 in 2 weeks to a man who'd already destroyed his life once, and he'd done it all for a woman he'd known for less than 3 days. Elena's father, Richard, wasn't letting this go easily. He stepped closer to Cole, his voice low and serious. I need you to be straight with me. What are the real odds here? Because my daughter was about to sacrifice herself to save us, and now you've put everything on an even bigger gamble. Cole met his eyes without flinching. The odds aren't great. I'll be honest about that. I'm older than most of the guys I'll be competing against. I haven't ridden professionally in 5 years. I'll be going up against the best bull riders in the country. Then why? Richard's voice cracked. Why would you put my family through this kind of hope just to watch it fail? Because the alternative was watching your daughter marry a man who would have made her life miserable, Cole said quietly. And because I've spent 5 years watching Vincent Romano get away with destroying people. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of good people losing while men like him win. Elena had been quiet since they left the office, but now she spoke up. Dad, I know this seems crazy. Trust me, I know. But when I was sitting in that office about to sign my life away, Cole gave me something I hadn't had in days. Hope. Even if it's a small chance, it's better than no chance at all. Her mother, pale and tired from the stress, leaned against the car. What happens if you don't win the money? That contract Vincent mentioned. Then you lose the ranch immediately, Cole said, not sugarcoating it. No court proceedings, no time to appeal. It'll be over. That's what was going to happen anyway, Elena pointed out. At least this way we're fighting back. Richard ran his hand through his hair, looking older than his years. This is my fault, all of it. My stupidity, my addiction, my choices. And now you two are trying to fix my mess. Dad, Elena said firmly, taking his hands. You made mistakes. But that doesn't mean we stop being a family. That doesn't mean we give up. Cole watched the family embrace, feeling like an outsider in this moment. But then Elena's mother reached out and pulled him into the hug too, surprising him. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you for giving us a chance. Cole just nodded, not trusting his voice. After Elena's parents left, Elena turned to Cole. They stood alone in the parking lot, the morning sun climbing higher in the sky. What you did in there, she started, then stopped. The way you said I was I had to make it convincing, Cole said quickly. Romano needed to believe we were together, that there was a real reason you wouldn't marry him. I know, Elena said. But for a second when you said it the way you looked at me, it felt real. Cole looked away. We should focus on the training. I've got 5 days before the first competition. Every minute counts. He was changing the subject and they both knew it. But Elena let it go. For now. Over the next few days, Cole threw himself into training with an intensity that bordered on obsession. He was at the rodeo grounds every morning before sunrise, working with the practice bulls, conditioning his body, preparing his mind, and Elena was there with him every step of the way. She'd called the hospital and taken a leave of absence, telling them it was a family emergency. Which was true even if they didn't know the whole story. Now she spent her days helping Cole prepare, learning about bull riding, caring for his horses, and trying not to think about how this could all fall apart. Cole's small ranch was simple but well-maintained. He had 3 horses, a barn that had seen better days, and a practice arena where he trained. His house was a modest 2-bedroom place with a porch that overlooked the hills. It was nothing fancy, but it felt like home in a way Vincent Romano's marble office never could. Tell me about your life before, Elena said one evening as they sat on the porch after a long day of training. Before Romano ruined your investment. What were you like? Cole took a sip of his beer, looking out at the sunset. Different. More trusting, I guess. I grew up on a ranch not far from here. My dad taught me to ride before I could walk. Bull riding was just in my blood, you know? By the time I was 25, I was winning championships, making good money. I thought I had it all figured out. What happened to your dad? Cancer, Cole said quietly. 7 years ago. He fought it for 2 years, but in the end, well, cancer won. Before he died, he told me to use the money I'd earned to build something lasting. Not just for me, but for my community, to give back. So you invested in Romano's development project, Elena said, understanding. Yeah. He pitched it as affordable housing for working families, said it would revitalize the area, create jobs, help people. I believed him. Invested almost everything I had. Cole's jaw tightened. 6 months later, I found out the whole thing was illegal. Built on wetlands that were supposed to be protected. The government shut it down. Investors lost everything, and Romano somehow managed to disappear from the paperwork. Like he was never involved at all. That's awful, Elena said softly. The worst part wasn't losing the money, Cole continued. It was feeling like I'd failed my dad. He told me to build something lasting, and instead I'd gotten conned like a fool. I spent a year just angry at the world. Angry at Romano, angry at myself. What changed? Cole smiled slightly. A kid. This teenager showed up at my ranch one day, said he'd heard I used to be somebody in rodeo. He wanted to learn to ride. His family was struggling, and he thought maybe if he could win some competitions, he could help them out financially. Did you teach him? Yeah. And watching him work so hard, risk so much for his family, it reminded me why I loved this life in the first place. It wasn't about the money or the fame. It was about the fight, about getting on the back of an animal that outweighs you by 1,000 pounds and choosing to try anyway, even knowing you'll probably fail. Elena was quiet for a moment. Is that why you're doing this? Because I remind you of that kid? Cole turned to look at her, and his expression was intense. No. I'm doing this because when I saw you in that diner looking so lost and scared, something in me just knew I couldn't walk away. Like the universe was giving me a chance to finally beat Romano at his own game. And maybe because I saw something in you worth fighting for. The air between them felt charged. Elena's heart was racing, and she didn't know if it was from fear about the upcoming competitions or from the way Cole was looking at her right now. I'm scared, she admitted. What if you get hurt? What if this whole thing fails and my family ends up worse off than before? Then at least we tried, Cole said. At least we didn't just accept defeat without a fight. That's easy to say when you're not the one who'll have to watch your parents lose everything. Cole reached over and took her hand. Hey, look at me. When she did, his eyes were serious. I know what I'm risking. And I'm not taking this lightly. Every morning when I get on that practice bull, I think about your family, about what's at stake. It makes me focus harder, try harder, push myself further than I ever have before. Why? Elena asked. Why do you care so much about people you just met? Cole was quiet for a long moment. Because 5 years ago when I lost everything, I felt alone. Like nobody cared whether I lived or died. And I never want anyone else to feel that way. Especially not you. Elena felt tears welling up. I don't know how to thank you for this. Don't thank me yet, Cole said with a slight smile. Thank me when we win. When? Not if. When, Cole repeated firmly. I don't plan on losing. The next morning, Elena woke up early and went out to the barn, expecting to find Cole already training. Instead, she found him in one of the stalls, wrapping his ribs with medical tape. His torso was covered in bruises, some fresh from yesterday's practice, some older and yellowing. How bad is it? She asked from the doorway. Cole looked up, not bothering to hide the injuries. I've had worse. Elena came closer, her medical training from the hospital kicking in. Let me see. She examined his ribs gently. Nothing felt broken, but the bruising was extensive. You need to rest. You're going to hurt yourself before you even get to the competition. Can't rest. I've only got 3 more days to get ready. Cole, I'm serious. If you crack a rib, you won't be able to ride at all. Then I'll be careful, he said, continuing to wrap his ribs. Elena grabbed the medical tape from his hands. Stop. Just stop for a second and think about this. You're pushing yourself too hard. Not hard enough, Cole argued. The guys I'm competing against, they're younger, faster, stronger. The only advantage I have is experience and determination. If I don't push myself to the limit, I don't stand a chance. Elena sat down on a hay bale, suddenly feeling overwhelmed. I can't watch you destroy yourself for my family. I just can't. Cole knelt in front of her, his hands on her knees. Look at me. This isn't about destroying myself. This is about fighting for something that matters. And yeah, it's going to hurt. Bull riding always hurts. But pain is temporary. Regret lasts forever. That's such a guy thing to say, Elena said, laughing despite herself. Maybe, Cole admitted with a grin, but it's true. They spent the rest of the morning working together. The morning of the first competition arrived with a sky so blue it hurt to look at. Elena had barely slept, her mind running through everything that could go wrong. Now she sat in Cole's truck as they drove to the arena, watching him from the corner of her eye. He seemed calm, but his hands gripped the steering wheel a little too tight. You okay? She asked. Ask me again after the ride, Cole said with a small smile. The arena was already buzzing with energy when they arrived. Cowboys and cowgirls milled around in groups, some stretching, some checking their gear. all of them wearing that same look of focused determination. Elena felt out of place in her jeans and simple shirt, but Cole kept her close as they walked through the crowd. Ray was waiting for them near the competitor's entrance. He looked Cole over with a critical eye. "How are you feeling?" "Ready?" Cole said simply. "Good. You drew Thunder Road for your first ride?" "He's a spinner. Real aggressive out of the gate. Don't let him fool you with that first jump." Elena listened as Ray broke down the bull's patterns, explaining exactly what Cole could expect. It all sounded terrifying to her, but Cole just nodded, absorbing every detail. "I need to get registered," Cole said to Elena. "You'll be okay here with Ray?" "I'll be fine, go." As Cole walked away, Ray turned to Elena. "You care about him?" It wasn't a question. Elena nodded. "I do. More than I probably should after such a short time." "Time doesn't matter when it comes to this," Ray said, his voice gruff but kind. "I've been around long enough to know when two people fit together." "You two do. But what if—" "Don't think about what if," Ray interrupted. "That's poison. You think about right now, this moment, and you trust that Cole knows what he's doing. He's one of the best I ever trained." Age doesn't change that. Elena wanted to believe him. She really did. Cole returned with his number pinned to his back. 37. Elena thought it seemed like a lucky number, though she knew that was silly. Luck wasn't going to save them. Only skill and determination would. The competition started with the younger riders. Elena watched in horror as some of them were thrown within seconds, their bodies hitting the dirt hard. Others managed to stay on, their rides smooth and controlled. The crowd cheered and gasped at all the right moments. Elena just felt sick. Finally, Cole's number was called. Elena's heart jumped into her throat as he made his way to the chute where Thunder Road was waiting. The bull was massive, all black with eyes that looked mean even from a distance. "He's got this," Ray said beside her, but his voice was tense too. Elena watched as Cole climbed onto the chute rails, then slowly lowered himself onto Thunder Road's back. The bull shifted beneath him, already agitated. Cole wrapped the rope around his hand, adjusting his grip. He looked up once, scanning the crowd, and his eyes found Elena's. He nodded once, then gave the signal. The chute opened. Thunder Road exploded out like a bomb going off. The bull twisted hard to the right, his back legs kicking high. Cole moved with him, his free arm up for balance, his body following the bull's momentum. Thunder Road spun, then reversed direction, trying to throw Cole off with the sudden change. But Cole held on. His face was set in concentration, his body adapting to every twist and turn. The seconds felt like hours to Elena. She couldn't breathe, couldn't think, could only watch as the man she was falling for risked his life on the back of this angry animal. At 6 seconds, Thunder Road did something unexpected. He stopped spinning and launched straight up, all four legs leaving the ground. When he came down, it was with brutal force. Cole's body snapped forward, his face almost hitting the bull's head. Elena gasped, sure he was about to be thrown. But somehow Cole pulled himself back, readjusted his grip, and held on. The buzzer sounded. 8 seconds. He'd done it. The crowd went wild as the bullfighters moved in to distract Thunder Road so Cole could dismount. He hit the ground and immediately moved toward the fence, climbing over as Thunder Road charged at him. Safe on the other side, Cole removed his hat and waved it at the crowd. The score came up on the board. 86.5. It wasn't the highest of the day, but it was solid. More importantly, it was a qualified ride. He'd placed fourth in this event, winning $15,000. Elena found Cole outside the arena, and before she could think about it, she threw her arms around him. He caught her, laughing despite how out of breath he was. "You did it," she said, pulling back to look at him. "You actually did it." "First one down," Cole said, wincing as he moved. 12 more events to go." 12? Elena's eyes widened. "I thought there were just a few competitions." "The Frontier Days circuit has multiple events," Ray explained, coming up behind them. "Bull riding, saddle bronc, bareback bronc." Cole's entered in all 3 disciplines. "It's the only way to get enough prize money in time." Elena looked at Cole in shock. "You're competing in 3 different events?" "Had to," Cole said, like it was no big deal. "Bull riding alone won't get us to $500,000, but if I place well in all 3, we might have a chance." "That's insane," Elena said. "You're going to kill yourself." "Not planning on it," Cole replied with that infuriating calm of his. Over the next week, Elena watched Cole compete in event after event. Some days he won, his rides flawless and smooth. Other days he placed lower, the competition fierce and unforgiving. Every night he came back to the ranch bruised and exhausted, and every morning he got up and did it again. Elena kept track of the money on a notepad. After the first week, they were at $230,000. Not even halfway there with only 7 days left, but the physical toll on Cole was becoming obvious. His ribs had gotten worse despite the wrapping. He had a gash over his left eye from being headbutted by a bronc. His shoulder was swelling from being thrown hard 2 days ago. Ray kept telling him to rest, but Cole wouldn't listen. "I can't afford to rest," he said one night as Elena wrapped ice around his shoulder. "Every event I miss is money we don't win." "Every event you compete in injured is a chance you get hurt worse," Elena argued. "What good is the money if you're dead?" "I'm not going to die," Cole said. But even he didn't sound completely convinced. That night, Elena couldn't sleep. She lay in the guest room of Cole's house, listening to the sounds of him moving around in his room across the hall. She knew he was in pain. Knew he was probably icing something or wrapping something or dealing with an injury he hadn't told anyone about. She got up and knocked softly on his door. "Cole, can I come in?" "Yeah." She found him sitting on the edge of his bed, shirtless, staring at the wall. His entire torso was a canvas of bruises in various stages of healing. It took her breath away. "Oh my God," she whispered. "It looks worse than it is," Cole said automatically. "Don't lie to me." Elena came closer, her medical training making her assess each injury. "This one's from Tuesday. This one's from Thursday. And this one..." She touched a dark purple bruise on his right side and he flinched. "This one's new. From today." "Got stepped on by a horse after I dismounted," Cole admitted. "It's fine. It's not fine. None of this is fine." Elena sat down next to him, feeling tears welling up. "Cole, you're destroying yourself. Is my family's ranch really worth this?" Cole turned to look at her, and the intensity in his eyes made her heart skip. "It's not about the ranch anymore." "Then what is it about?" "It's about you," Cole said quietly. "Somewhere between that first ride and right now, this stopped being about beating Romano or paying off debts. It became about making sure you never have to feel trapped again, about making sure you get to live your life on your own terms." Elena felt a tear slip down her cheek. "I don't want you to die for that." "I'm not going to die," Cole said, wiping away her tear with his thumb. "But I need you to understand something. Before I met you, I was just existing, going through the motions. You gave me a reason to really live again, to fight for something that matters." "You matter," Elena said, her voice breaking. "You matter to me." Cole pulled her close, and Elena rested her head on his uninjured shoulder. They sat like that for a long time, not talking, just being together in the quiet of the night. "There's something else," Cole said finally. "Something I haven't told you about Romano." Elena pulled back to look at him. "What?" "When he destroyed my investment 5 years ago, I lost more than money. My girlfriend at the time, she left me. Said she couldn't be with someone who'd been stupid enough to get conned. Most of my friends disappeared when I went broke. I learned real fast who actually cared about me versus who cared about what I could do for them." "That's horrible," Elena said softly. "It was, but it also taught me something. That the people who stand by you when things are hard, those are the people worth keeping in your life. And you, Elena, you've been standing by me every single day even though you barely know me. Even though I'm putting everything on the line for your family. That means something." Elena looked into his eyes, seeing the man behind the cowboy facade, seeing the scars, both physical and emotional, that he carried. "When this is over, when we've won the money and paid off Romano, what happens then?" "I don't know," Cole admitted. "What do you want to happen?" Elena's heart was pounding. "I want you in my life. Not just as the guy who saved my family, but as something more. Something real." Cole smiled, and it transformed his whole face. "I want that too. More than I probably should after knowing you for such a short." 3 days before the final championship event, Elena found herself at Cole's ranch before sunrise. She'd stopped going home to her parents' place, instead staying in the guest room at Cole's house. It just made more sense, she told herself. They were training from dawn until well past dark, and the drive back and forth wasted precious time. But deep down she knew the real reason. She wanted to be near him. Needed to be, actually. She walked out to the training arena and found Cole already there working with one of his horses. The animal was a beautiful paint mare named Dakota, and Cole was putting her through her paces, warming her up for the day's work. "You're up early," he called out when he saw her. Couldn't sleep, Elena admitted, climbing up to sit on the fence rail. Kept thinking about everything that could go wrong. Cole rode Dakota over to the fence, bringing the horse to a stop right in front of Elena. Want to know a secret? I couldn't sleep either. Really? You seem so calm about all of this. That's just training. My dad used to say that fear is normal, but showing it gives power to the thing you're afraid of. So you learn to keep it inside, control it, use it to make yourself sharper. Cole dismounted and tied Dakota to the fence. But yeah, I'm scared. Would be stupid not to be. Elena hopped down from the fence. What scares you most? Cole was quiet for a moment, adjusting Dakota's saddle even though it didn't need adjusting. Letting you down, letting your family down, getting hurt in a way that makes it impossible to finish. But mostly, the thought of you going back to Romano because I failed. That's not going to happen, Elena said firmly. You promised me you wouldn't, Cole reminded her. I know, and I meant it. Elena came closer, resting her hand on Dakota's neck. The horse nuzzled her palm, looking for treats. Tell me about her. About Dakota, Cole's face softened. Got her 4 years ago. She'd been abused by her previous owner. Wouldn't let anyone near her. Everyone said she was too damaged, that I should just give up on her. But I saw something in her eyes, strength under all that fear, so I took my time, let her learn to trust again. Sounds familiar, Elena said softly. Cole looked at her, understanding passing between them. Yeah, I guess I have a habit of fighting for things other people give up on. They worked together all morning, Cole training while Elena watched, learned, helped where she could. She'd gotten better at anticipating what he needed. A water bottle handed over at just the right moment. The medical wrap ready before he asked for it. Small things, but they mattered. Around noon, Ray showed up with sandwiches and news. Been looking at the competition roster for the finals. You've got some serious riders to beat, Cole. Tommy Chen placed first in 3 events last season. Derek Johnson just came off a winning streak in Montana. And then there's Hellfire. What about Hellfire? Elena asked. Ray and Cole exchanged a look. Hellfire's the bull Cole drew for the final event. Mean as they come. Like I mentioned before, nobody's ridden him to the full 8 seconds in 2 years. Last guy who tried ended up with a broken collarbone and 3 fractured ribs. Elena felt sick. And you still have to ride him? Can't redraw, Cole said simply. You get the bull you get. Besides, everyone else is scared of Hellfire, which means if I can ride him, if I can stay on for 8 seconds, the score will be huge. Could be the difference between winning and losing everything. Or it could be the difference between walking away and being carried away, Elena said, not bothering to hide her fear. I've ridden worse, Cole said, but his voice lacked conviction. Name one, Elena challenged. Cole thought about it, then shook his head. Okay, maybe not worse. But I've ridden bulls just as tough. 5 years ago, Ray pointed out. You're not 28 anymore, Cole. Your reflexes aren't as quick, your body doesn't heal as fast. You've got to be realistic about this. Realistic? Cole's voice rose, frustration breaking through his usual calm. Being realistic is what keeps people from ever trying anything great. You think I don't know the odds? You think I don't lie awake every night wondering if I'm crazy? But the alternative is giving up, and I'm not doing that. Not when we've come this far. Ray held up his hands. I'm not saying give up. I'm saying be smart. Don't let pride get you killed. This isn't about pride, Cole shot back. This is about... He stopped, glancing at Elena. About what? She asked softly. Cole ran his hand through his hair, looking exhausted. About proving that good guys can win sometimes. That bullies like Romano don't always get their way. About showing that love and loyalty and doing the right thing actually matter. The word love hung in the air between them. Cole seemed to realize what he'd said, his eyes widening slightly. Elena's heart was hammering in her chest. Ray cleared his throat. Right, well, I'm going to go check on the equipment. You two should eat something. After Ray left, Elena and Cole sat on the fence eating their sandwiches in awkward silence. Did you mean it? Elena finally asked. What you said about love. Cole set down his sandwich, staring out at the horizon. I've known you for less than 2 weeks. That's crazy, right? Feeling this way about someone after such a short time? Completely crazy, Elena agreed. But yeah, Cole continued, turning to look at her. I meant it. Maybe I'm confusing adrenaline and proximity and shared danger for something else, but it doesn't feel that way. It feels real. Elena's eyes filled with tears. I'm so scared of losing you. Not just because of what it would mean for my family, but because I don't want to imagine my life without you in it anymore. Cole took her hand, threading his fingers through hers. Then don't imagine it. Imagine us winning. Imagine paying off Romano and being free to figure out what this thing between us really is. Promise me something, Elena said. Anything. Promise me that if it comes down to a choice between winning the money and staying safe, you'll choose safe. Promise me you won't die trying to be a hero. Cole was quiet for a long moment. I can't promise that. Because if I quit, if I walk away when things get too hard, your family loses everything, and I have to live with that. I have to live knowing I gave up. But you'd be alive, Elena said desperately. Would I? Because the way I see it, there's a difference between being alive and actually living. Cole squeezed her hand. These past 2 weeks working with you, fighting for you. It's the most alive I've felt in 5 years. If I walk away now, I go back to just existing, and I don't want that anymore. Elena wanted to argue, to make him see reason, but she understood what he was saying. In a strange way, this crazy, dangerous plan had brought both of them back to life. That afternoon, Cole's phone rang. He looked at the screen and his expression darkened. It's Romano. Don't answer it, Elena said immediately. Have to. Need to know what he's planning. Cole answered the call, putting it on speaker. Romano. Brennan. Vincent's voice was smooth as oil. I've been following your progress in the rodeo circuit. Quite impressive for a man your age. 230,000 so far, if my sources are correct. Your sources are accurate, Cole said, his voice neutral. Still significantly short of what you need, though, and I understand you've entered the final championship events. Bold move, also potentially fatal. There was dark amusement in Vincent's voice. I wanted to call and make you an offer. A way out before you get yourself killed. I'm listening, Cole said, though his jaw was clenched tight. Drop out now. Forfeit the competitions. In exchange, I'll reduce the Martinez family's debt by half. 235,000 instead of 470. They can make payment arrangements for the rest. Elena's breath caught. It was actually a reasonable offer. Her family could potentially manage half the debt over time. Cole wouldn't have to risk his life on hellfire. But Cole didn't hesitate. No deal. Think about it, Brennan, Vincent continued. You're going to ride hellfire in 3 days. You know his reputation. You know what he's done to experienced riders half your age. Is proving a point really worth dying for? I'm not proving a point. I'm keeping a promise. Vincent laughed coldly. Ah yes, the noble cowboy. Let me ask you something. Does Miss Martinez know about your shoulder? The rotator cuff injury that never healed properly? Or the fact that you're taking pain medication just to get through each day? Elena's head snapped toward Cole. Is that true? Cole's expression was guilty. Elena, is it true? She demanded. Yes, Cole admitted quietly. But it's manageable. Vincent's voice came through the speaker again, satisfied. I'll let you two discuss this. You have until tomorrow at noon to accept my offer. After that, it's all or nothing. Good luck, Brennan. You're going to need it. The line went dead. Elena stood up, anger and fear coursing through her. You've been hiding an injury from me. A serious injury? It's not that serious, Cole protested. Pain medication, Cole. You're competing with an injury that requires pain medication. Elena paced back and forth, her hands shaking. What else haven't you told me? Cole stood up too, frustration evident. What do you want me to say? That I'm hurt? That I'm scared? That every morning I wake up wondering if this is the day something goes wrong? Yes, I'm all of those things, but I'm still doing this because I have to. You don't have to. We can take Romano's offer. Cut the debt in half. My family can work out a payment plan. For how long? Cole challenged. 5 years, 10? How long before your mom needs more treatments you can't afford? The Frontier Days Championship arena was packed with people. 20,000 fans filled the stands, their excitement creating a buzz that Elena could feel in her bones. Somewhere in the crowd were her parents, though she couldn't see them from where she stood near the competitor's gate. They'd driven up that morning, her mother insisting she was strong enough despite her recent treatment. They needed to be there, she'd said. For Cole. For Elena. For all of them. Elena watched the earlier events with her stomach in knots. Cole had already competed in the saddle bronc riding, placing second with a score of 88. That had earned them another $40,000, bringing their total to just over $400,000. They were so close, but they still needed more. and everything now came down to the bull riding championship. "He's up in 3 rides," Ray said beside her, checking his watch. His weathered face was tight with worry, something Elena had never seen before. "How's his shoulder?" she asked. "He says it's fine." "That's not what I asked," Ray sighed. "It's bad, Elena. I watched him warm up this morning. He's got maybe 60% mobility on that side. Against a normal bull, he might be okay. Against Hellfire?" He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. Elena's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Against her better judgment, she opened it. "Enjoying the show? Cole's going to get himself killed, and for what? Pride, you should have taken my offer. VR Vincent Romano. Of course he was here. Somewhere in this arena, probably in some luxury box, watching and waiting for Cole to fail." Elena deleted the message without responding, but her hands were shaking. The first rider of the championship round burst out of the chute. His bull was a massive red beast that spun like a tornado. The cowboy lasted 5 seconds before being thrown hard into the dirt. He got up limping, but at least he got up. The second rider did better, making it to 7 seconds before his bull reversed direction and sent him flying. No score, no money. Then it was Cole's turn. Elena watched as he made his way to the chute where Hellfire waited. The bull was enormous, easily 2,000 pounds of pure muscle and rage. His coat was so dark it was almost black, and his eyes held an intelligence that made Elena's blood run cold. This wasn't just an animal. This was a creature that knew how to hurt people and enjoyed doing it. Cole climbed up the chute rails slowly, favoring his left shoulder. Elena could see him talking to himself, getting in the zone, preparing mentally for what was about to happen. Ray stood at the chute, giving last-minute advice that Cole probably couldn't even hear over the pounding of his own heart. Elena pushed her way closer to the arena fence. She needed to be where Cole could see her, where he could draw strength from knowing she was there. As if sensing her thoughts, Cole looked up. His eyes found hers in the crowd, and something passed between them. Love, trust, fear, hope. All of it compressed into a single moment of connection. Then Cole nodded once and lowered himself onto Hellfire's back. The bull shifted beneath him immediately, already agitated. Elena could see every muscle in Cole's body tense as he wrapped the rope around his gloved hand, adjusting his grip, finding his balance. His left arm went up for balance, and even from here, Elena could see the strain in his shoulder. This was a mistake. This was going to end badly. She wanted to scream at him to stop, to get off, to choose life over money. But her voice was trapped in her throat. Cole gave the signal. The chute opened, and Hellfire exploded into the arena like a bomb detonating. The bull's first move was a massive buck, his back legs kicking so high that Cole's body snapped forward like a rag doll. But Cole held on, his body moving with the momentum, his free arm extended for balance. Hellfire landed and immediately spun to the right, a tight, vicious rotation that had thrown countless riders before. Cole's body swayed dangerously to the left, his grip on the rope the only thing keeping him on the bull's back. His injured shoulder screamed in protest. Elena could see the pain flash across his face even from a distance. 2 seconds. Hellfire reversed direction without warning, spinning hard to the left now. This was his signature move, the thing that made him unrideable. The sudden change in momentum threw most riders completely off balance. Cole's body lurched to the right, his legs losing their grip for a split second. The crowd gasped, sure he was about to be thrown. But Cole dug in deeper, his legs finding purchase again, his body somehow adapting to the bull's chaotic movements. 3 seconds. Hellfire jumped forward, then reared back, trying to smash Cole against the chute fence. The bullfighters moved in, trying to distract the bull, but Hellfire was focused solely on the man on his back. Cole pulled himself forward at the last second, avoiding the fence by inches. 4 seconds. Elena's nails were digging into her palms, her breath coming in short gasps. Every muscle in her body was tense, as if she could somehow transfer her strength to Cole through sheer willpower. Hellfire dropped his head and kicked his back legs high again, a move called a sunfisher that put tremendous strain on a rider's arms and core. Cole's left shoulder gave a visible twinge, his grip on the rope loosening for a fraction of a second. Elena's heart stopped. 5 seconds. But Cole adjusted, his right arm compensating for his weak left side, his entire body working as one to stay centered on the bull's back. His face was a mask of concentration and pain, every second an eternity. Hellfire tried a different tactic now, running hard toward the arena fence before stopping short and spinning. It was a move designed to use momentum and surprise to throw the rider into the fence. Riders had been seriously injured by this exact move. Cole saw it coming. He leaned back as Hellfire charged, then shifted his weight as the bull stopped and spun. The crowd was on their feet now, screaming, watching something extraordinary happen before their eyes. 6 seconds. Hellfire was getting frustrated. The bull could sense that this rider was different, that his usual tricks weren't working. In a last desperate attempt, he did something Elena had never seen in all the videos she'd watched. He jumped straight up, all 4 legs leaving the ground, then twisted his body in midair. It was spectacular. It was terrifying. And it was exactly the kind of move that killed riders. Cole was airborne for a moment, completely at the mercy of physics and fate. When Hellfire landed, the impact was brutal. Cole's body snapped forward again, his face coming within inches of the bull's head. His left hand, gripping the rope, was caught between his body and Hellfire's neck. The crowd screamed. Ray was yelling something Elena couldn't hear. And Elena, watching the man she loved getting crushed, felt her world narrow to this single moment. 7 seconds. Cole somehow, impossibly, pulled himself back. His left shoulder had to be on fire, the pain unimaginable, but he didn't let go. He readjusted his seat, found his center of balance again, and held on as Hellfire made one last vicious spin. The buzzer sounded. 8 seconds. The crowd erupted into chaos. 20,000 people were on their feet, screaming, applauding, witnessing something they'd remember for the rest of their lives. Cole had ridden Hellfire. He'd actually done it, but the ride wasn't over. Getting off was often more dangerous than the ride itself. The bullfighters moved in, trying to distract Hellfire so Cole could dismount safely. But Hellfire, enraged at being ridden successfully, wasn't interested in the bullfighters. He wanted the man who'd stayed on his back. Cole released the rope and tried to jump clear, but his injured shoulder gave out. His dismount was awkward, off balance, and he landed hard in the dirt just as Hellfire spun toward him. Cole! Elena screamed, her voice lost in the crowd noise. Everything seemed to happen in slow motion. Hellfire charged at the fallen rider. Cole tried to scramble away, but his left arm wasn't working properly. The bullfighters threw themselves between Cole and the bull, waving their flags, drawing Hellfire's attention. It worked. Hellfire turned toward the bullfighters instead, giving Cole precious seconds to get to his feet, and stumbled toward the fence. He climbed over just as Hellfire charged the fence behind him, the bull's horns rattling the metal rails. Safe on the other side, Cole collapsed to his knees, gasping for air, his left arm hanging uselessly at his side. The scoreboard lit up. The crowd's noise somehow got even louder. 94.5. It was the highest bull riding score of the entire championship. It was enough to win first place, and it was enough money to push them over the $500,000 mark. Elena was running before she even realized she'd moved. She ducked under the competitor's barrier, ignoring the officials trying to stop her, and ran to where Cole was slowly getting to his feet with Ray's help. "You did it," she was saying, tears streaming down her face. "You actually did it." Cole looked at her, his face pale with pain but his eyes bright with triumph. "We did it," he corrected. Then his knees buckled. Ray and Elena caught him before he hit the ground. "Medic!" Ray was yelling. "We need a medic now." Cole's eyes were starting to lose focus. "Did we win? Did we get enough?" "Yes," Elena said, supporting his weight as best she could. "Yes, we got enough. You can rest now." "Good," Cole mumbled. That's good." Then he passed out. The next few hours were a blur of emergency rooms and doctors and x-rays. Cole's shoulder had been dislocated in the final seconds of the ride, which was why his dismount had been so awkward. He also had 2 cracked ribs. 6 months had passed since that final ride on Hellfire. 6 months since Elena had watched the man she loved risk everything for her family. 6 months since they'd walked into Vincent Romano's office and handed over a check that ended their nightmare once and for all. Elena stood on the porch of her family's ranch, watching the sun set over the Texas hills, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. The ranch looked different now. Better. Her father had used some of the leftover money to make repairs, to fix the things that had been falling apart while they struggled under Romano's debt. The barn had a new roof. The fences had been mended. Even the old farmhouse had fresh paint. But the biggest changes weren't to the property. They were to the people. Her father had been sober for 6 months. Not one visit to a casino, not one bet placed. He attended meetings 3 times a week and had become a sponsor for 2 other people struggling with gambling addiction. The guilt that had weighed him down was slowly lifting, replaced by a quiet determination to be the man his family needed him to be. Her mother's cancer was in remission. The doctors were cautiously optimistic, saying that if she stayed healthy for another year, they could officially call her a survivor. She'd gained back the weight she'd lost and the color had returned to her cheeks. She laughed more now, smiled easier, lived fuller, and Elena herself had changed too. She'd been accepted into veterinary school on a full scholarship, set to start in the fall. But more than that, she'd learned what it meant to fight for what mattered, to not give up even when the odds were impossible, to trust people who proved themselves worthy of that trust. She heard footsteps behind her and smiled before even turning around. She knew that walk, that particular rhythm of boots on wood. "Hey," Cole said, coming up behind her and wrapping his arms around her waist. His left shoulder was fully healed now, though it ached when the weather changed. The doctor said he'd made a remarkable recovery, but Elena knew it was because he was stubborn and refused to be limited by an injury. "Hey yourself," Elena replied, leaning back against him. "How was your day?" "Good," Tommy Chen called. "Wants to come train with me for the summer season. Says if I could ride Hellfire at my age, I must know something worth learning." Elena laughed. "Your age? You're 38, not 80. In rodeo years, I might as well be 80, Cole joked. But it feels good. Having young riders come learn from me. Feels like I'm passing something on, you know?" Elena turned in his arms to face him. "Your dad would be proud. You're doing exactly what he told you to do. Building something lasting." Giving back, Cole's expression softened. "Yeah, I think he would be." They stood there for a moment, just holding each other, watching the sunset together. It had become their routine. Every evening, no matter how busy the day had been, they met on this porch to watch the sky change colors and talk about their day. "I have something for you," Cole said suddenly, pulling back slightly. "Oh? What's the occasion?" "No occasion, just something I've been thinking about for a while." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small box. Elena's heart started racing. "Cole, before you say anything, just listen." Cole opened the box to reveal a simple silver ring with a small diamond. Nothing fancy or expensive, but beautiful in its simplicity. "I know we haven't been together that long. I know people might say it's too soon, that we should wait. But Elena, I've never been more sure of anything in my life." He took her hand, his eyes locked on hers. "You saved me, not just by giving me a reason to ride again, but by showing me what it means to really live, to care about someone more than yourself, to fight for what matters. And I want to spend the rest of my life with you, fighting together, laughing together, building something real together." Elena felt tears streaming down her face, but she was smiling so hard her cheeks hurt. Cole continued, his voice thick with emotion. "I'm not rich. The ranch is small and training cowboys doesn't exactly make a fortune. But I can promise you that every single day I will choose you. I will stand with you. I will be the man you deserve. So Elena Martinez, will you marry me?" Elena didn't hesitate. Yes, 1,000 times yes. Cole slipped the ring onto her finger and Elena noticed his hands were shaking slightly. This tough cowboy who'd ridden the most dangerous bull in the circuit was nervous about proposing to her. The thought made her love him even more. They kissed as the sun disappeared below the horizon and Elena felt like everything in her life had led to this moment. All the fear, all the struggle, all the impossible choices had brought her here, to this porch, with this man starting a new chapter. "I love you," she whispered against his lips. "I love you too," Cole replied. Forever. That word, forever, reminded Elena of that day in Romano's office, when Cole had torn up that awful contract and declared that she was his. At the time, she'd thought it was just something he was saying to make Romano back off. But now she understood. Cole had meant it even then, had claimed her heart before either of them fully understood what was happening. They went inside to tell her parents, who were sitting in the living room. Her mother took one look at Elena's face and started crying happy tears before Elena even said a word. Her father shook Cole's hand, then pulled him into a hug. "You've already proven you'd do anything for my daughter," Richard said, his voice rough with emotion. "But I'm going to hold you to that promise anyway. You take care of her." "Always," Cole promised. They celebrated with a simple dinner, the the four of them laughing and talking and making plans. Her mother wanted to help plan the wedding, already rattling off ideas about flowers and venues. Her father opened a bottle of sparkling cider he'd been saving for a special occasion. Later that night, Elena and Cole sat in his truck, parked at the spot where her vehicle had broken down all those months ago. The same diner where they'd met was still open, its neon sign flickering in the darkness. "You ever wonder what would have happened if your truck hadn't broken down that night?" Cole asked. "If you'd driven past this place and we'd never met?" Elena shuddered at the thought. "I would have married Romano. My family would be safe, but I'd be miserable. And you'd still be on your ranch alone, just going through the motions of life." "Funny how one broken truck changed everything," Cole said. "It wasn't the truck," Elena replied. "It was you. You could have just walked past me in that diner. Could have minded your own business. But you didn't. You saw someone in trouble and decided to help. That's who you are, Cole Brennan, a man who helps people even when there's nothing in it for you." "There was something in it for me," Cole said quietly. "I just didn't realize it at the time." "What?" "You," he said simply. "A chance at real happiness. A reason to be brave. A future worth fighting for." They sat there for a while longer, talking about their plans. Cole wanted a small wedding, just family and close friends. Elena agreed. After everything they'd been through, they didn't need anything fancy. They just needed each other. The weeks that followed were busy with wedding preparations. Elena's mother threw herself into planning with a joy that was beautiful to see. Her father worked with Cole to build an arbor in the ranch's garden where the ceremony would take place. Ray agreed to be Cole's best man, and Elena's cousin agreed to be her maid of honor. Vincent Romano sent a gift. A crystal vase, expensive and tasteful, with a card that simply said congratulations. Elena wanted to throw it away, but Cole suggested they keep it. "Why?" Elena asked. "Because it reminds us that we won," Cole said. "Every time we look at it, we remember that we beat him. That good people can win. That love is stronger than greed." So they kept the vase, putting it on a shelf where they could see it but not prominently displayed. The wedding day arrived with perfect weather. Clear blue skies, warm sun, a gentle breeze that carried the scent of wildflowers. Elena stood in her childhood bedroom, wearing a simple white dress her mother had helped her choose. Nothing elaborate, nothing expensive. Just clean lines and classic beauty. "You ready?" her mother asked, adjusting Elena's veil. "I've never been more ready for anything," Elena said truthfully. Her father walked her down the aisle that Cole and Ray had created between rows of chairs in the garden. There were maybe 50 people there, friends from the hospital where Elena worked, other cowboys Cole had trained with, neighbors who'd known Elena's family for generations, people who mattered, but Elena only had eyes for Cole, standing under the arbor in a black suit that made him look devastatingly handsome. His eyes were locked on her, and the love in them took her breath away. The ceremony was simple. They'd written their own vows, wanting to say exactly what they meant to each other without traditional formality. Cole went first, his voice steady despite the emotion behind the words. "Elena, you came into my life when I'd given up on miracles. You showed me that courage isn't the absence of fear, it's choosing to fight anyway. You made me believe in second chances, in new beginnings, in the power of love to heal old wounds. I promise to always stand with you, to fight for you, to choose you every single day for the rest of my life. You're mine forever." Elena wiped away tears before speaking her own vows. "Cole, you saved my life in more ways than one. You showed me what real strength looks like. You proved that there are still heroes in this world. Still people who do the right thing even when it's hard.